and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't believe there's any amendment to the agenda, so I just need approval of adoption of the agenda.
Are you gonna call the meeting to order first?
I did that.
You did, I missed
Yeah.
it.
What I said when I started.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Review the minutes from April 8th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minute of April 8th.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Accounts payable, Mr. Briggy.
There was a couple of them in there that I was looking at. One was 75877 for S&P Global. That was for the rating, for the bonds, 21 bonds. The other one was 75882 for Thomas Thompson for the first quarter inspection fee of $9,672. Everything else was. I get normal.
You want to make a motion
Make
to,
a motion to pay the accounts payable for $53,992.82.
any questions for Bob? All in favor?
Second. Second.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Public comments is individuals may address the city council about any items of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks. But due to COVID, we asked them to send it in to Brian or Kim. Nothing? Close the public comments portion. We'll jump down to 8A, bonding, post issuance compliance policies and procedures. Mr. Brian.
Yes, this is a document from our bond attorney, Mary Ipple. And with the issuance of tax exempt governmental bonds, the city has certain responsibilities to ensure the dollars will continue to be used for public purposes. Include filing various forms with the IRS along with other required documentation. Staff recommends adoption of the post issuance compliance policies and procedures.
We need a motion to approve that.
Yep, motion in a second.
Any questions for Brian?
I'll make a motion to approve the post-issuance compliance policies and procedures. Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 8B, extract of meeting minutes for issuance and awarding the sale of the general obligation bonds. Miss Rebecca.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Rebecca Kurtz from Ellers. And as you are aware, today we did take bids for bonds for the Jefferson Street project at our office. So what I have for you is the results of that sale. I am going to start though actually at maybe the back of the packet that I did submit earlier today with a summary of the results. As you are aware, we went through the process and had the bonds rated, and I'd like to say congratulations. S&P Global provided a rating of a AA- for the bond issue in the city, and we at Ellers believe that is just a wonderful rating and is definitely a sign of the work that not only you as council have done, but how staff has moved forward to implement and really be responsible with the financials for the community. I have included a copy of the entire report from Standard & Poor's in the sale day packet that we sent out earlier today, but I would like to take just a couple minutes and make some comments and highlights from the report for maybe others in the community that are in attendance or listening to the meeting tonight. S&P Global Ratings assigns its AA- rating with a stable outlook to Zumbrota, Minnesota's roughly $3.12 million general obligation bonds. Some of the items that led to supporting this rating are the S&P recognizes that the city ended their fiscal year 2020 with about a $417,000 general fund surplus due predominantly to expenditure adjustments, stable revenue coming in, and the federal stimulus funding. And in light of everything that communities have dealt with and all of the uncertainties in our world from 2020, that's viewed as a very positive factor to end with a surplus in that amount. S&P goes on to say, we expect that operations will likely remain stable and that reserves will likely remain strong as the economic recovery continues and strengthens. They go on to summarize, saying the rating also reflects in S&P's views the city's adequate financial management with standard financial policies and practices, a very strong budgetary performance with the operating surpluses in the general fund and at the total governmental fund level, ending in audit or fiscal year 19. They recognize the city's very strong budgetary flexibility with the available fund balance at the end of 2019 at 54% of operating expenditures, along with very strong liquidity with total government available cash at 85.7% of total government fund expenditures. And then they also recognize the city's strong institutional framework score, which is really the policies and practices that the city has in place around the financing and the budgeting process. So in short, we spent time talking about a lot of different issues, but they were really, really impressed and happy with the financial policies and practices that the city has in place. And again, that really goes to reflect all of the work that you as council and staff have done to maintain that. So congratulations on your rating. I'm happy to answer questions if there are any on the rating. Otherwise, I can go into what I think everybody's probably most interested in with our bond results. So as I mentioned, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just seeing the council wanted any questions. Go ahead, Rebecca.
So as I mentioned, we did take bids in our office this morning. We received 4 bids, and there is detail of those bids in the sale day packet. Northland Securities, which is an underwriter out of the Minneapolis area, was the low bid with a true interest cost of 1.647%. So, with that, we have included the updated debt service schedule. The bid was slightly lower than what we had estimated when we called for the sale roughly a month or 6 weeks ago. But with that, I want to also call to your attention that the way the bids came in, we did have roughly $70,000 of additional funds over and above what was needed to fund $3 million for the Jefferson Avenue project and that match required by the state of Minnesota to receive the funds through the bonding. Specifically, the amount over was $69,594. And so after discussions with Brian, we did decide to retain those funds because you do have other projects that are coming, other street improvement projects that are coming down the line that those funds could be used for. So we did retain those funds and have a little more than what was needed for the Jefferson Street project and match. If you move forward with awarding this, we would then have funds available in the city's hand on May 6th. Just again, a reminder, I know this was discussed when we called for the sale of the bonds, but these bonds will be callable or available to prepay without penalty beginning in February 1 of 2030. I would say that at that time, it also gives an opportunity that they could be refunded for interest savings. However, with rates where we are seeing them right now, I'm not as optimistic that there would ever be refunding opportunities, but that is something we'll continue to watch on projects like this as they move forward. So with that, we are recommending, I know the bond counsel from Taft provided a resolution or form of resolution to consider this evening. There are some blanks in that. It becomes a timing issue of when we have the final results from the sale versus when the resolution needs to get distributed. So the information in the sale day packet is used to fill in and complete the resolution. But we are recommending that you award to Northland Securities with the interest rate of 1.6472%. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No, thank you, Rebecca, for all of your hard work on this. This was a big one.
You're welcome. It was, I mean, we help facilitate through the process, but it's a lot of Brian and Kim that did a lot of work on it.
So we need a motion. We need a motion to approve the bond for 1.64%.
Yep, and it is resolution 2021-09.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-09.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Rebecca, for all your work, and thanks, Kim and Brian, for their work.
Thank you. And like I said, we'll have funds ready to start spending on May 6th.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Good deal. 8C, Sanitary District Feasibility Report Professional Service Agreement. Mr. Ingerman.
Thank you, Mayor. So in your packet is an agreement to hire WHKS for the city of Zumbrotte's portion of the sanitary district feasibility study. So just a little recap. If you guys remember, when we met in February, we had outlined steps. And after our meeting, the first step was for the 5 communities to decide if they wanted to move forward. 4 of the 5 have decided to move forward. Mazeppa has pulled out. I think you guys have heard that. So the remaining 4 communities then, the next step is to do a feasibility report with the scopes in here. I'll highlight a few things and really get moving forward on this process. The intent was that at this stage, each city would spend about approximately $10,000, and that we would divvy out the tasks, try to do it evenly amongst the 4 cities. So that's what is shown in this document here. Maybe a couple things to highlight is that so each city will also have some of their own items to do, which is basically collecting their own information about their own facility, also projecting their own flows and loadings. So for Zumbrota, the trickiest part there will be what to do with DFA. You know, so really there'll be a scenario with DFA in and probably a scenario with DFA out. And then also when this analysis is done, it'll be up to Zumbrota separately from this to decide, okay, if their cost is 40%, and I'm making that number up of the overall cost, and the impacts to ratepayers are this, you know, does Zumbrota want to continue? So that'll be something that'll be, you know, separate from this as well. So of the items there, by the way, Wanamingo and Zumbrota, WHKS is the city engineer for both. So we're going to work together on that to be more efficient. So WHKS will work with Zumbrota, Wanamingo, Whitseth is Pine Island's engineer, and Good Hughes is ISG. So everybody, and we're all going to work, we've all met the engineers, we're all going to work together and then compile a report at the end. So.
What's the timeline that you think you'll have that report?
The timeline was to have this in the middle of summer, but really one of the first things is the bonding bill discussion. So there's already a meeting next week to start on some of this. So yes, yeah. So I'll pause there, or Brian, if there's anything, or Mike, anything to add. Otherwise, if anybody has any questions, be happy to answer them.
Yeah, well, this will be a big next step. You know, the feasibility study will really give some solid, you know, can we do this, or can we finagle this, along with bonding as well. The committee working on getting a plan together to meet with the local legislators is Michael Bolton, myself, Elizabeth from Pine Island Bill, and then Craig Britton, Pine Island's engineer. So
So you need a motion?
Yep.
Motion to enter into. Enter into, what is it called?
Just an agreement. Yep.
Services agreement?
Yep.
With the UPS or the, district feasibility study.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor.
8D, discussion of sanitary district committee members. Brian?
yes, each of the communities want to go back to their council and mayor just to see what the makeup should be for the official sanitary district committee. So far, Public Works Director Mike Olson, myself, Phil, the city engineer, and then Tina have been our representatives. And we just want to solidify that and see if that's what we want moving forward. Other communities, it could be 4, could be 3, depending on availability for them. But we'll have a big group of about 16 people if everybody's got 4. But we just wanted to make sure to bring it in front of all of you just to solidify the makeup of that. Tina has expressed that she'd be willing to stay on with us
Somebody else wants to do that?
unless somebody else wants it.
I'm on every other thing anyways. So if there's somebody who has an interest in person with Mike and Bill and moving this thing forward, I just want to ensure it gets a fair shot and it moves forward. That's been my involvement, really, to help Mike, shepherd this along. But if somebody else has an interest in it, I'm going to be a little preoccupied from this.
We have one meeting. We have been having one meeting a month. I don't know if we'll need more than that moving forward. We'll just kind of play it by ear. After the feasibility study, we might have to meet a little more often, depending on what comes up. But and then whether or not we'll want council involvement with the legislator meetings. But
Yeah, typically, that's how, typically the legislative committees want to hear from your mayors and council along with public. Certainly, I would say, like, part of the presentation.
Yep. So there'll be a little bit of time commitment.
Well, I wouldn't mind jumping on here. I would be more than happy to jump on and do what I can do.
And I can fill in if you can't, or be a back, if you're not there, or be there too, just because I want to kind of be involved in the process too, so.
Okay, moving forward was the last Wednesday of the month, right?
Yep, we went last Wednesday of the month, so we could make sure we hit everybody's council meetings if we have to approve anything.
Do we have time?
It's during the day. It's usually
10 o'clock.
10 to 11:30.
Figure it out, make it work.
I mean, if you can't, Chris,
Yep.
I can be there too.
And we do virtual and in person, so there's an opportunity to tune in from the truck too.
And I can adjust accordingly as well.
we don't need a motion.
I don't know, do you think we should have a motion on that?
I think just council direction would be suitable. So
Works for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. 8E, West Avenue sidewalk plans specifications, authorized advertising for bids. Bill.
thank you, Mayor. So West Avenue sidewalk project. So in your packet is the advertisement for bids. So what we're asking the council to do is set the bid letting date for May 13th at 1:30 p.m. That'll be a virtual bid letting. We're still doing everything virtual still. And then that would then come to the council at your next meeting, which I got to scroll down. Well, the next meeting after that, which I'm not seeing the date.
20th?
Yep, that's in there as well. And what we are setting is a completion date of September 17th is what we're shooting for. A little bit about the project. So we don't oftentimes we don't put plans in the council packets. This one though, and Brian and Mike and I talked about it, we thought we'd put some of the plans in here for highlights just because it's a fairly going to be talked about project, sidewalk projects, particularly at a project in conjunction with the school. And we're impacting, some businesses, and we're going to be cutting down some real big trees as well. So just as a reminder, so the project is going to start on 9th Street and West. So, and it'll also include a new sidewalk to where the bridge goes into the football field. So it'll be starting at that intersection, and we'll be working north from there. So on the south end, Rich Bauer's house there, he has those big pine trees. We will be taking those down. And then all the retaining walls, absent of one that was newly replaced, we'll be replacing. So as you get to the north side by the pizza cabin, there's some retaining walls, some old ones. We're going to be replacing all of that. So sidewalk through the whole thing, and then any storm sewer catch basins that are impacted, meaning they have to move or they're part of the construction, we will replace as well, because most of those are at least 25 or 30 years old. So we will fix them. A couple of unique things is, as I mentioned, we will be coordinating with the school. So the school, as part of their project, they will be responsible for the 7th Street intersection, or the entrance to the school. So they'll have some bump outs there to help with pedestrian safety. So they will be doing that portion, and then this project will tie into that. So we'll be working, kind of jointly together. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of big trees. But we never know how residents are going to react, but we have met with every property owner along here, and all the property owners were positive or receptive to us taking down the trees, because I think they realize that a lot of those are old silver maples and they're rotting and they're pushing up the road. And
By my mom's there?
By your mom's house?
One?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm so afraid that one's gonna fall down.
Yep. And I think Scott from our office did talk to your mom, so,
Okay.
yep.
I don't
So
think that's her property. I think it's Chris's, but.
Okay.
I mean, it might be. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, good.
yep, so all the trees. Probably the trickiest part of the project is the pizza cabin property. We did have Todd come out there with us, and when we walked out there, they have their ADA accessible ramp. If you guys have been in the pizza cabin, the front door, it's up steps. So it's actually on the side, and it's really tight to the right-of-way line with a retaining wall. So we are still working with the property owner. And I say we, Brian mainly, we're working with the property owner as far as that ramp would have to be redone as part of this, and it's fairly expensive. So Brian will be continuing to talk to them. Ideally, there'd be some kind of cost share worked out, but those details are still under development. So the other thing to point out is the project, when we first started this, you guys had asked me, shoot from the hip cost. I'd said $150,000, $200,000. As we sit today, we had a similar project bid last week, and using those prices, this job would be about $250,000. So of which retaining walls and the ADA ramp is a big portion of this. So, but if you guys have walked that at all, I think it needs to be done. So when you drive by, it doesn't look as bad as when you actually walk it. So, but I'll pause at this point, and any questions or comments?
Bill?
Yeah.
Like the sidewalk, well, the area that kind of has that gravel road that doesn't just goes up to houses, is that
Yep.
a new sidewalk through there? And how does that get maintained if there's no concrete on either, side?
Yep, so there is pavement through the intersection, and that transitions to gravel after that. So on one of them, I don't remember if it was 8th, we are narrowing it up. We are also narrowing the one up at 7th as well, but in essence, we would just be keeping pavement through that intersection.
Skirt, basically, that comes off the road, so you can travel through the sidewalk all the way through.
I think I understand. Yeah, so it'd be the concrete ramp and then pavement through the middle of it.
Yeah, plus
Yeah.
it's going to be narrowed up a little bit. It won't be that full width like it is now.
Except for we did have,
Gravel.
yeah, and Brian and Mike, I don't remember, the road where the existing, yeah, on 8th. So on 8th, we are, the property owner there has an existing retaining wall, so we are not going to take that one out. We're going to leave some of that sidewalk just because it is newer. So that intersection there, that, those curb returns are staying as is.
Okay.
And then is the school replacing the bridge to the football field? Or are we just creating a better access.
So they have told us they are, though we have not seen any plans on that yet.
We've seen a quote, but no plans.
Right. So,
But yeah, they're gonna replace that, and it'll probably be a little higher, so we're gonna match their height once they get so we gotta get those plans from them pretty soon.
One question. So I know we have the front walk at night, like on Main, that used to have them on the next side, a whole other discussion. Will we do the same thing and add those to something for those kids who are gonna not come right and go across to go left? Do you know what I mean? Are we gonna do something down on 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, maybe it's 5th Street with a crosswalk, or is that not in?
on 5th and Main or 5th and West?
5th and Main.
5th and Main, we don't have anything in this project.
So it might be something that, because I watch those kids all the time, they don't, the ones that live like across or down, they're not coming right and going across, up nice and across to come back and go north. But this can get pretty hairy in there. So, okay.
Well, and I'm sorry, I forgot one item, and that is on 4th Street. If you remember, there's some drainage issues between Main and West. On the north side of the road, we are redoing that curb and that sidewalk through that stretch as well. Correct, yes.
Are we doing police out here on that bid too or not?
Nope.
Okay.
We're not.
We're on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're different project. We are meeting, Dylan, we're meeting on Monday,
I believe it's Tuesday at 4:30.
Tuesday with the owner of the Pizza Barn building. We just want to understand, said it's an accessible route in that door.
Nobody has gone in that door for 20 years.
Yeah, so if we're gonna spend a whole bunch of money putting in an accessible 1 in 20 ramp there, I just kind of want to make sure that is an accessible route. You know,
Not as it stands, it is not.
because otherwise.
All of the rental places in that building, I mean, not obviously just the end.
Right, because we have to do something there, but I'm not sure we need to do the whole, ramp, which is very expensive. We may be able to put back kind of what he's got there if it's not truly an accessible route, it's not an accessible route now, the way it is. The ramp's too steep and not wide enough and all that good stuff, but, so we're gonna just meet with him and talk through some things and see where we get to on that.
Mr. Fenny, one clarification, that Luke Scott's been talking to him about the cost sharing, is his concern.
Well,
And I don't know what to tell him.
yeah,
Be there for that one?
No, it'll be just us.
Okay.
ultimately, it's, the city really can propose, whatever they choose. Yeah, you pay for all of it, pay for none, split it somewhere in between. So not to put the onus on Brian, but that's Brian's, we'll see how he does.
Right, and we are lowering the sidewalk, so if that's truly an accessible route or needs to be, then we should probably do something. At least work with him to do something appropriate there, but if it's not an accessible route, then, maybe there'd be a lot less cost sharing for him, that way. But we just want to make sure we cover the basis before we spend the dollars on that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Bill? Do we need a?
So Mayor, what we're looking for is a motion to approve the plans and specifications and to approve the advertisement for bids.
Two separate ones.
That could be one.
I'll make a motion to approve the West Edmonds sidewalk plans and specifications and authorize advertising for this.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
8F, communication system, Brian.
Oh yeah, we've been doing quite a bit of research on different communication systems. I asked Miranda to kind of take that on. And the one I had looked at was really expensive. And then Miranda came up with this one, which is very functional and relatively inexpensive, less than half of the one that I was looking at. So, but this would allow us to do a single post, and it would go out to mobile phone as a text, go out to emails, Twitter, Facebook, and our website. Would be an opt-in type thing. We would have an app, a City of Zumbrota app that people would go into for notifications. They can put in their email, their cell phone, whatever ways they want to be notified. And then there'll be options for different notifications, from water main breaks to general announcements to whatever we want to tailor it to. But it's $250 a month. And it's a great tool. It gives us a lot more communication abilities. We ran into some issues with the whole garbage communication and changing of garbage haulers. We didn't do a mailing, which a lot of people would have probably tossed the mailing in the garbage anyway. It was on the website and on Facebook, but this is a lot more functional. Most people have one or more of these means now. So it'll be a matter of people going into it. We'll advertise the app. People can go into it, sign up.
The push notification, so when we have a street closure due to construction, we can keep people up to speed as to when it's closed, and we'll figure out what that cadence looks like.
At real time, we can put something on there that goes out right away, and we can also provide a link to a document or another page, which, and Kim did this the last time we had a water main break. She took a aerial photo and outlined the area and posted that. So we can link to something like that as well, right in within the messages. So
This is cool. They can say, there's graffiti on the wall, that's such as, they can put stuff on too.
yes, and that's a feature. We can allow feedback and comments, but we don't have to.
Well, it's not, I think
No.
it's just separate.
It'll be a separate thing,
things
yeah.
that it doesn't go public, but it comes to you.
Sure, yep.
That's what it says here.
Okay.
Yeah, there's all
Yeah.
kinds of functionality that we can, so, and for the price, it's a lot of functionality for the price, so. So,
Yeah, I think she did a really good job finding this one.
Miranda did a great job.
Did a good job. Great.
Just need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve that communication system.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian and Miranda. Probably more Miranda than Brian.
This one was Miranda, yes.
Okay, 8G, approval of St. Paul Road preliminary and final plat. Mr. Dillon.
All right, the final plat application for the development of townhomes on St. Paul Road has been processed by city staff and the planning committee. And a public hearing was held on April 13th. To remind you guys, this proposed plat is splitting up 2 lots into 4 for the townhomes. Additionally, the proposed plat and development coincide with the nature and intent of the general development plan, city standards, and future goals for this R2 zoning area. So city staff and the planning commission recommend approval of the plat and plans contingent upon they follow through with the line items in Bill's engineering letter, which they've acknowledged and approved of, and contingent upon them paying their development fees for their application, which they just got the invoice on Tuesday of.
Any more questions for Dillon?
So they've completed all, so they have now resubmitted the plans and all the engineering items are complete.
Perfect. Thanks, Dillon. Just need approval.
I'll make
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Dylan and Bill. Reports. Brian.
Yes, a number of months ago, we talked about the brush pile at the park and the brush pile out here at the brush dump. And we were contemplating burning it, and I think we approved burning at one point. And then someone came along with a new grinder and offered to give us a quote and do some grinding for us. We decided to go that route. We got all of it ground down in the park, most of it. Some of it got hauled up to the brush site up here. They moved up here and they started grinding, and they ran into some metal and a lot of mud and dirt, and they chewed up some bits or some grinding bits, and so they pulled out before they were finished grinding. So we've got quite a pile out there yet. So we'd like to burn the rest of that, and we want to put a notification in the paper, in next Wednesday's paper.
Oh, not the app.
Well, no, if we can get the app that quick, yeah. But we've got something drawn up to put in next Wednesday's paper, saying that within the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to be burning.
Aren't we in a fire ban?
Are we what?
Aren't we in a fire ban?
Well, that's why I left 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
It'll say, we want 3 or 4 weeks because of weather, wind, rain, that type of thing. They'll have a big fan up there to, if there is any smoke that looks like it's going to go downtown, we'll blow it away. So just kind of a heads up, we'd like to burn, and it'll be in the paper. There'll be notification in the next 2 papers, that at some point when it's right, when the timing is right, we'll be burning. Larry will coordinate with the fire department, police department, and permits, or whoever else he needs to let know. So.
Are we going to continuously burn that throughout the year then, Mike? Is that kind of the
Yeah.
game plan then? Kind of like what Sturtville does?
Yep.
Versus doing a one-time fire. So you'll just kind of, when the conditions are right, burn. Okay.
Yep, that's the plan. Keller Bartman apartment building. There's a groundbreaking ceremony. We don't want a bunch of people there, just a few. They're a little leery of the COVID and all that. So small thing. We've invited some of the media to come out and cover that. But on Monday, May 3rd at 10 a.m., we anticipate about 10 people, gold shovels, hard hats, all that type of stuff. So, I've already heard from the Post Bulletin, they want to do a story, so that's good. Yeah, we've invited Tina and Sarah because they were very involved, and then the mayor for his speech.
That's Tina.
No, you were named.
So yeah, that'll be good, and you're going to see that crank up in a hurry. They want to move in equipment right afterwards, and they're anticipating a big hole there shortly after that. We're still working through some of the civil things right now. Yeah, so there's a few things that Bill, we're still working through on that, but it should be resolved by then. So water looping, we continue to work on that as well. That's getting closer. Still shooting for a early fall start on that. If we get moving.
Hopefully, if we can get an easement from the
Yeah.
property owner, yes.
Yep. I just figured I'd give you an update on that because that's been hanging around for so long, but it's still moving slowly. Jefferson just got a couple of meeting invites for next Friday at 9 a.m. was it?
Yeah, we're gonna start City Hall, 8:30 to 9, and then 9 o'clock in the field.
Yep, we're gonna go walk out there and walk the entire length and point at things and start the design phase.
As in
The
tomorrow,
heavy
Friday?
design phase next Friday, the 30th. Oh, we could take a side by side. Well, there's gonna be a bunch of us.
I got a wagon.
Yeah, you could do a wagon ride. There we go. And Bill's in charge of the weather, so it's going to be 60 degrees and sunny by 9 a.m. that day.
The forecast looks good, but Todd, you had expressed an interest, and if anybody else, you could come along, but only 2 of you. So if you are going to, just because we can't have a quorum, so let Brian know if you're interested. But
Yeah.
what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at, all the driveways, grades, what are we gonna do with trees, intersections, all really fun stuff that Mike and I really like to look at, so. Yes. Yep. Correct. So this will just be Zumbrota staff only.
And the other Jefferson thing with the bonding, I need the mayor and Kim to hang around for signing a whole bunch of papers, so don't run off after the meeting. Recycling bins, been a big deal around town, a lot of requests. The county had a lot of calls, has had a lot of calls too. So Greg Isaacson reached out to me, inquiring about getting back into town somewhere. And so we invited him out, Mike and I, and Larry had a meeting with him out at where the recycling bins were before to talk about some ideas, maybe moving the fence, fencing them in, locking the gate at 10 o'clock, at night, and also some cameras. And they're willing to help out with the cost of putting some cameras out there. So I've got one quote. I need to pursue another couple of quotes and get a solid direction on which way we want to go. I need to get that to Greg, and then Greg will we'll see what they can come up with for assistance to get a camera, because like I say, they get a lot of calls too. asking about why they took the recycling away and why it's not back. So, so hopefully we can get that going, and we're looking to accomplish something in the next couple of months.
So it's not the only site that you reviewed of where this is now? or-
Well,
All by the
if we're
shop?
looking at securing it, that would be the best place. We would just move the brush site gate and fence out and put these right inside there. And then, you know, if we've got cameras, then we can cover the brush site and the recycling bins. We'll have one camera that will capture license plates and then one 180-degree camera that will see the whole area. So it seems to be the best spot for that. But no, we didn't really go look at other locations. The county is really wanting it secured with a fence and a gate. So that's all I had.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. Chief?
Oh, hit the button.
A lot of notes.
So just wanted to touch base in regards to the school resource officer contract. Most of you may have already known that we did not secure that contract. The school is entertaining a contract with the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office still has yet to negotiate the terms of that, as well as get their approval through their county board before they make any agreements. I did have some conversation with the sheriff in regards to that. And some of the concerns I had is, you know, who's responsible for criminal activity that happens at the school then, because it is in the city, and it wouldn't make much sense if we got to go to all the calls for criminal activity when there's a school resource officer under contract there. And he assured me that that's how they do manage that, or they had managed that in Kenyon. They predominantly were the ones responsible for those calls at that point. But aside from that, you know, it was important for us to still see that a school resource officer was maintained in there. So I really do hope that those things will follow through and they're able to accomplish those goals. So other than that, I have nothing further.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Can I jump in there? Thank you for that, Chief. That's something, yeah, I should have mentioned as well. And yeah, we met with Superintendent Harvey before they had their meeting that night, and it just really made sense for both. You know, the opportunity is there for them right now. They've got some other ideas. Our main concern, like the Chief said, was that there was an SRO in the school. You know, we thought we were going in the meeting to fight for an SRO position. And in reality, Mr. Harvey was looking at maintaining the position and even adding an SRO presence in Mazeppa. So we were very comfortable with that. You know, feel bad for Shannon. She put a lot of time and effort in there, and big, huge thanks to her. The school board thanked her. I mean, she's been a valuable asset to that school for many years. So I feel bad about that, but it was the right time to move in different directions. So thanks, Chief, for mentioning that.
James?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Thank you. Matt Rockney?
Your call on the Siemens property, I filed with the Parks for Administrative warrant, and the judge wanted me to convert that to a motion hearing for May 10th. So, assuming no hiccups, and the judge signed the order, we'll have to reconnoiter and see what needs to be done out there. That's all I have.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt. Kim?
Audit field work is done, and yay. And so we should be getting back to normal. We should have our audit by the end of June, of course, for approval. I'm assuming that we'll probably do a Zoom meeting audit with a PowerPoint presentation this year. So.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kim. Dylan?
Some of us this week attended this month's ZEBA meeting, and to celebrate Earth Week, businesses in the community are doing a sort of recycling showcase. I don't know how familiar everybody is about that, but what it is essentially is participating businesses and community members are making sculptures, including dresses, which you may have seen, out of all recyclable parts, and we can go ahead and vote on which piece we like the best. It's just a little community event. So if you're out perusing the streets this weekend, feel free to stop by, check it out, or even place a vote while supporting the businesses.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dylan. Bill, did you have anything? I skipped over you, sorry.
Nothing additional.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Mike?
Thank you.
I know, I didn't, and I'm like, oh, he does have an Okay, I have nothing either. Council, Durham.
I have nothing.
Outside. Horvath. Priggy. Nope. I call the meeting adjourned.
I bring them in and put them on my car, and then I have a whole car full of papers.
This is usually what I read in the morning when I meat my coffee.
I did that.